Who am I?
Tears
Hey, wait.
of joy.
Who am I? Hey, everyone! Who am I?
Go ahead and say it, Jerry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead and tell him
I
to
don't know.
go F himself.
What?
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
who am I?
Jerry Bear.
Yeah, that's right.
Jerry Bear from the Live.
You've heard of Jenny from the Block? Well, that's
Yep,
Jerry from the
Jerry
Live.
from the Live. Don't be fooled by the mics that I don't have.
By the way, that completely...
I'm just Jerry from the Live. Used to have a mic, but now I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows where I came from.
That threw me off so much from the Live. Hey, what's up, everybody? I am Patrick, and you all know my co-host, Chile.
What's up?
And, of course, we always got Jay Bear in the house, our producer.
Hey, everybody.
You got his mic in his mouth.
Got a
today.
microphone in his mouth this time. Oh, man, what a day. What a week. What a month.
Yeah.
What a year.
Ooh.
When is 2022 going to end?
4 months ago. 4.5 months ago.
That's right.
5 months ago.
Doesn't it
now.
seem like yesterday?
It does.
I
It
think about
does.
that all the time. I'm like, am I getting old or what's happening? What's happening? Because it's like, okay, so you have Christmas.
Right.
You go to sleep.
Yep.
You wake up.
Yep.
And it's May.
It is May all of a sudden. It's just bizarre.
It's just bizarre. I
Wait-
don't understand it.
wait
But
till
it's
you
still, the good news is it's still 30 degrees outside.
It is. It's still freezing cold
In
outside.
May.
Wait till you get to be my age and you go to sleep after Christmas and you wake up and it's July.
Well,
It flies. But you know why it happens that way, Patrick? Time flies when you're having fun.
that's what some people say.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know what happened to me because I'm not having fun, but
What?
okay, I'm having fun.
Oh, come on.
I can't tell that lie.
What's not to be fun?
I can't tell that lie. I'm having a great time.
You could tell that lie.
I could, but you wouldn't let me live it down, and neither would Melissa.
Well, listen,
She watches these episodes. She watches, and she's like, "You said this," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know. It was for comedic effect, sweetheart."
Well, what I love is when she's like, "You said this," and you're like, "I did. Let's roll the tape."
Right,
and then
exactly.
you're like, "What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did say that. Oh, okay, well,
Damn it.
darn it, Jerry, you're supposed to have."
Yeah, I'm supposed to edit that out, Jerry. I thought you had my back.
But even if I edit it out, I still have it.
All right, you do.
Oh, yeah, I don't like the blackmail. I don't
material.
like the blackmail.
Blackmail material. Jerry's got a lot of it too.
I know. He just needs to get more for Acura. Anyways, that's another story for another day. So, speaking of which, Jerry, you had some craziness with Acura. I heard all about your situation, as we would call it, with them. You got the survey in from Acura. What did you let the good people at Acura know?
That I was not happy with how they treated someone who just bought a brand new vehicle from their dealership. How I felt they should have given me a loaner vehicle
Yes.
and not make me wait 2.5 days for a flat tire.
I understand that, but when you buy a Chevrolet Cavalier,
Never bought one, so I don't know.
oh, they have tires in stock. It's different. They actually have one in the trunk.
Yeah.
You,
Spare.
just, you lift the trunk up, and the's a little cover there, and
You just roll in the spare.
yeah. That's crazy. I remember. Do you remember when Do you remember when Run Flats came out?
I do.
It was a BMW.
Yeah.
They were the first mainstream tires that came out, and it was like they don't have a spare.
You don't need a spare with a run flat.
Like, how crazy is this? And then it's
Yeah.
like, how cool. And then I was like, I don't know how this is going to work. James Bond, I think it was GoldenEye. They had a movie. So we're going 1995. I'm dating myself
Okay.
here.
Yeah, you are.
So that was back when, doesn't matter. So he's in that BMW 7 Series, right? And he pulls out his Nokia smartphone, and he's controlling the car, and they run over some like nails, and the tires go flat, and they just air themselves back up. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
keep
oh, that's
going.
cool.
Sure.
I wonder how they do that. And then you find out that's not really how they work. But
Movie magic.
yeah, movie magic. But was your tire? Was it run flats or no? They were not run flats.
No, they were flat.
They were flats.
There was no running involved at all.
That's terrible. The only thing I don't like about run flats is I've heard a lot of people complain about they're very rough because they have a really thick sidewall or
Yeah,
something like that.
They're more solid than
Yeah.
air. Yeah.
Not a fan of that.
They're not super popular anymore in the aftermarket, I don't think. I think they're more original equipment.
Yeah.
You just don't hear about run flats a whole lot anymore.
Yeah, you don't really.
I think it was the comfort factor. You put that on a BMW where you want to be want to have a nice plush ride.
Absolutely.
And it rides rough and no fun.
Yeah.
No fun.
Yeah, and then it's only good for a few miles. And
Right.
I mean, like when you buy a large body, like a BMW 7 Series or something like that, you're getting a spare tire.
Sure.
They know that if you are down, you're going to want to get convenienced real quick. And so a run flat it would give you like 20 miles to get off the road.
Far.
It wasn't very far at all.
No.
And yeah, you're right. Like nobody wants to have that rough ride.
No.
I know I'm a Michelin tire elitist, and we run Michelin tires on our fleet. And when we can get them, sometimes a little tricky. But I run Michelin tires on all my personal vehicles and such. The only thing I don't run Michelin tires on is our vans. So our company has 3 1-ton vans. So they're like, we have a Sprinter van and we have a couple of 12 and 15 passenger vans from people in town. We need to move them around. And on those, BF Goodwrench, no, that's a lie. Bridgestone makes a much better tire. Gives you pretty good life out of them. They're pretty firm, are pretty good tires. And for the price, they're just impossible to beat.
Sure.
So that's kind of where I generally go with my tires. Firestone has another one that's pretty good, but obviously it makes sense because Firestone and Bridgestone are basically the same company at this point. I do have a set on the red van, Yokohamas or something. They've been pretty good. I only bought them because when we bought the van, we bought it in state, but out of town, and the tires were dry rotted. I mean, you know that like you can see the rubber on the sidewall just peeling off. It's like, oh yeah, I'm nervous to drive these.
Gotta have something on there.
I'm nervous to take it to the tire shop. And the only thing they had there was a Yokohama set, and he convinced me, so I bought them, and they seem fine. I haven't had a problem with them yet.
I think they're fine. The van ride's fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's a nice little van. We don't put a whole lot of miles on it.
No,
regularly.
The only van that really gets miles is the Sprinter.
The Sprinter, yeah.
I mean, I was looking at that. When I drove down to Mississippi to get that generator,
right?
I was looking at that Sprinter van, and I mean, we've put almost 30,000 miles on it. That's incredible.
It's a workhorse, man. It's a workhorse.
Doesn't it make you like? I've always been a pickup truck guy. Like I love having a pickup truck. Buttermilk agrees. Like it is really nice having a pickup truck. I remember like back when I was a kid, driving like an hour and a half away to go pick up a table saw from my grandfather, and like just all throughout my life has always been these moments of picking up stuff for people and hanging out, and you get back then it was a 12-pack of Coke.
Right.
Later on it got to be a 6-pack of Busch Latte or something. But still it was, hey, let's go jump in the truck, go grab something, they pay for fuel and whatever.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, no big deal. But now that I've got a Sprinter van, who needs a truck?
Who needs a truck?
Oh, your stuff. If you
truck?
don't get it out in time, it gets wet.
Yeah, no. The Sprinter van, there's no getting wet.
No, I came back got in town late with that generator, so I got like quite a few $1,000s in the back of the thing.
Yeah.
I just parked at my house, went to sleep, woke up the next morning, it was still there. Still inside the van. Like everything's good. Yeah. And we had sleety.
We had some good rain and sleet yesterday. We really did. We had 80 degrees 2 days ago.
Yeah, we did have 80.
And
I know.
We got sleet the next 2 days later. It's crazy.
I missed it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, when I got back, there was a little like residual sleet, but it was pretty much all gone.
But on the bright side, the generator is perfectly dry.
It is, yes, perfectly fine.
Dry.
I think everybody should have a high top, full length Sprinter van as their pickup truck. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Forget a $22,000 Ford Ranger. Buy a $60,000 Sprinter van.
Sprinter van with a 12-foot long
no, that
cargo?
thing's about 14 and a half foot.
It's long.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Long. Yeah.
It's a lot. And you don't realize how big it is until you put a piece of plywood in there, and it's like, whoa.
It's got space to float around.
It's got space to float around.
when we do garbage runs from the yard with it, we load up full-size mattresses in that sucker, and then we still have room for all our trash.
Yes.
We use, 2-foot square boxes to put our trash in.
Yeah.
We put all those up front and load it up with mattresses, and we don't have to worry about anything.
Well, not only that, but it's also payload capacity. Have you ever looked to see what the payload capacity of that van is?
I have not.
3,900 pounds. That's a lot of weight.
That's a lot of weight.
Yeah. I mean, a Ford Ranger, I think the payload capacity is like 1,200 pounds.
Right. Yeah,
So,
we don't get anywhere near that right now.
no, it is super versatile. I've done a couple loads out to the dump. So if you don't know, when you take a bunch of garbage out to the dump, or landfill rather, they weigh you going in, they weigh you coming out. And so the difference in weight is how much stuff you left them, and then you are charged accordingly. Because I guess the landfill knows how much weight garbage is.
How much space weight takes up? Is that what you mean? Would they know exactly that a ton of weight takes up
2 foot by whatever?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, well,
exactly.
So then we get away with murder with the mattresses because they're large and don't weigh much.
They don't weigh much.
But no, they weigh you coming in, going out, and the bare minimum is what, $5, I think it is.
I think so, something around.
And then that's good for like 500 pounds or 1,000 pounds, something like that.
It's like $15 a ton, maybe $20 a ton now.
Okay, so $5 gets you a quarter ton.
Yes.
Okay, so 500 pounds for $5. So we went one time and it was like right at like 2,200 pounds worth of stuff, and I was like, "Gah!" I had no. I knew that we took a lot of weight on.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it was that much.
That much, yeah.
It was crazy. Have you been out there where you've had to wait in line so long that you're like, "Am I going to start to sink?"
Luckily, the only time we were out there where I was concerned about sinking or getting stuck, we didn't have to wait in line. So we get out pretty quick.
Yeah.
We did have 3 inches of mud on each tire.
Yes.
I had mud caked on my shoes.
Oh yeah.
Even when I went and took it to wash it and scrub the tires, when it dried, there was still 3 inches of mud stain on the tires.
Yeah.
Now, when I go out there, I make sure and schedule it and plan it so that we have a dry day. I don't go the day after a rainstorm.
Yes.
I go 3 days after a rainstorm. And there are times, you can ask Melissa Lee, there are times when I'm like, we need to do a trash run, but we ain't going today.
Yeah.
We're going to do a trash run on this day because I know the forecast at least says we got 3 dry days and we're not going to get stuck.
Well, and it takes that long too. That's the surprising thing is it's like, okay, well, it didn't rain.
Right.
So we're good, right?
No.
And you get out there and it's like, why is there a foot of water?
Yeah. Exactly.
And you literally see people like they have these huge bulldozers that are pushing everything around, and they bring in the dirt, and they dump the dirt and everything on top of the stuff because that's what they do. They bring in a load of trash, you put a thin layer of dirt over it, more trash, thin layer of dirt, more trash, thin layer of dirt.
Right.
That's how landfill's built. And so these huge bulldozers, they don't think twice about it. They see you stuck in the mud, they just go over to you, grab a chain, throw it around the thing, pull you right out because they know it's such a common occurrence.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that Sprinter has nothing good to tow from.
Nothing.
Whatever we tow, it's going to be broken.
Gotta break
so
something
I'm
off.
like, I do not. Every time it made me stressed out. We are actually, when I replaced that thing, I just drove it almost 2,000 miles, and I'm like, it drove like a Cadillac.
Yeah, it rides smooth.
It's such a good driving vehicle
really
that I'm
is.
like, I don't want to replace it. But when we do eventually replace it in several years, hopefully, knock on wood, there we go, get a 4-wheel drive vehicle.
Yeah.
So
that'll be nice.
Both Sprinter and Ford make all-wheel drive vehicles, and it's like, just because we go here and we have to deal with it, and I want all-wheel drive because of what I've seen out there. So it's fun. You know, it's funny too. Like I remember, what's his name? Jimmy Mack, our maintenance guru.
Right.
He took a load out to the dump one time when he was working out here with us, and he sent me a picture of downtown Columbus, and from the landfill, you get a great view of downtown. And on a clear day, it's really pretty.
Nice.
You just ignore the smell. And he sent me the picture, and he's like, just hanging out the mountains of Columbus or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's freaking hysterical.
I don't know this officially, but I'm pretty sure the landfill at the very top, the landfill is the highest point in Columbus.
There's a couple buildings downtown that might be taller.
Oh, buildings.
But as far as geological?
Right.
Oh, yeah. Hands down.
The highest point.
Yes.
It really is.
Yeah. And it's, again, the smell. Ugh.
Yeah, but you find the right spot where the wind's blowing opposite from you or away from you, and you get a nice picture up there. And I stand corrected on the rate. The current rate is $39.75 per ton.
Oh, wow.
So it's gone up a little bit since you were out there last.
It's gone up a lot since I was out there last.
We rarely get over $15 for what we take up there, though.
Yeah.
So And that's once a month, maybe.
That's 800 pounds, 1,000 pounds.
It's 800 pounds, yeah. It's a good bit. It's a good bit.
Yep. Oh,
got to dump the trash somewhere.
You got to dump the trash somewhere. Yeah. And we are responsible, too. We do recycle cardboard.
Oh, sure.
We recycle our plastic bottles, all that good stuff.
Yes, we do.
Motor oil doesn't go back there. We dump motor oil at a mechanic shop. Like we have a really good mechanic we work with out in Grove City. We use a lot of times for that. Which happens rarely because we don't change our own oil.
Right.
So it's not a very common thing, but when it does happen there. Also, Walmart will take oil and recycle it.
It's good to know. We also recycle our electronics. So when we replace the microwave in the truck, there's a place to go. A TV gets broken. There are places to go here locally that recycle electronics. So we don't take them to the landfill. We do recycle those responsibly also.
Yes. And people ask us about the mattresses because we do trash mattresses sometimes. So we got in touch with a few different organizations, actually quite a few organizations, trying to find places to donate our mattresses to, get rid of them. Some of them, how do I put this nicely? Things growing in them?
Yes.
And we can't donate those?
Yes.
And you just got to get rid of them. There's no option. But we do get some that are in pretty good condition, and because we use an odd size, right? We use a 48 by 75 mattress, which is a short full, or 3/4 full. They... most places, most shelters, most places that would accept them won't accept it because it's an odd size.
They can't use it.
You can't. It's literally you have to have an antique bed from the 1800s to fit it, or a custom sleeper truck. So, if you know of a place that will take them, please let us know in the comments. Please. Every year we probably have somewhere around 10, 15, maybe 20 mattresses on a busy year
easily
that are salvageable, good mattresses that we would love to donate. And we just can't. Yeah. And I'd love to find a place that can. Every place in Columbus we talk to, we tell them the size, and they can't accept it.
It kills me every time we have to throw one of those mattresses out at the landfill. It really does.
And sometimes you're like getting the mattress out wearing the hazmat suit, going
you are.
I'm glad it's gone. But other times it's just like a kick in the chest or something.
Yes,
so,
it is.
And we are responsible to. We do wrap our mattresses in mattress covers that are the liquid and bed bug and all that stuff proof or whatever. So we are trying to limit our waste, but you still have waste. It's just a thing.
It's unfortunate, but you do.
Yes, if you know of a place, please let us know. Drop us a line. Shoot us an email at theouterbeltpodcast@gmail.com, or comment on this video. Or if you are listening to us on anywhere in your podcast forms that's not YouTube or Facebook, and you don't have the ability to leave us a comment, go ahead and shoot us an email. Go to hyfieldtrucking.com, and there's a chat feature on there during business hours, which are
Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
Eastern.
And
you can let us know there. But the outerbeltpodcast@gmail.com is another great way to go about that. We would love to find some places to to donate those mattresses that are not worth that really we have life. We can't use them, but have life.
But
left.
They have life left in them. Sure. Yeah, it'd be great to be able to find that kind of place.
Absolutely. Now, Vince, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do we need to turn my camera back on? It's been off for about 10 minutes now, and I'm not sure how you feel about turning it back on.
Well, I see Jerry making his way over to turn the camera back on, it looks like.
My question is, do you think Jerry noticed when I turned and looked at him to acknowledge that the camera was off? Okay.
Oh.
I almost stopped. The show, and I was like, we have a good flow, so I stopped and let it.
It's one of those things where if you work with you long enough or know you long enough, you start to get the looks.
Yeah.
You understand what those looks mean.
So, Vince, I saw an article the other day. I don't know if you saw it or not. You did send it to me, but I'm not sure if you read it or not.
I didn't read it. I just sent it to you. I saw the headlines. Like, Patrick will like this.
There is a way station out in Kentucky.
Yeah.
That's Kentucky for those of you that don't know. That is upgrading their way station to install new detectors. What was it for?
Yeah, so they're installing detectors that can recognize flat and worn tire tread. So not only they're also installing weigh in motion at that way station. So it's the way station. I saw it here a second ago where it is. Doesn't matter. It's in Kentucky. And back on April 21st is when it reopened with the new weigh in motion. in the flat and low tread detecting system. So as you roll across the way in motion, it will also be sensing and testing your tire tread.
I would love to know how they do that.
I would love to as well.
I mean, I'm just thinking about the sheer logic of how. Because you're not driving the exact same spot. You're a little to the right, you're a little to the left of the guy in front of you, or the gal in front of you, or the truck in front of you, or whatever. So how do they track that? How do they know what that depth is? How do they sense the... Now, I do know, like I saw an article where they were doing brake analysis.
Okay.
So, and they actually just shot infrared at the truck.
Sure.
And they would actually see, I'm sorry, not infrared, heat sinking visuals. So as you went by it, if they saw that on your tractor you've got 6 brakes, if they saw that 5 of the 6 brakes were hot and 1 was cold,
then it's not working.
Yeah. You know you got an issue. But how does this work?
I wonder if they do something similar where instead of shooting it sideways at the tire, they're shooting it up from underneath, and they can see the heat on the tread, on what's actually in contact with the ground.
Yeah.
They can see that, and they don't see the tread depth itself. If there's between the tread, if there's a different temperature there, or if you're rolling across and the entire surface is heat, well, you've got no tread, right? Or there's spots where it's like that, or they're picking up and they're reflecting something back radar-like. I don't know what it is, sonar, radar, whatever.
Oh,
is telling them how we measure the depth of the tread, and probably a combination of both, where they're having heat and something that's measuring the depth of the tread. I mean, science, technology, who knows?
Yeah, I need to find a YouTube explanation on that.
Maybe we can get our producer, Jer Bear, to reach out to the Kentucky State Police and see if we can't get an interview with somebody about how this works.
It is the way station on I-75 southbound, approximately 2 miles north of Crittenden? Crittenden? Crittenden?
I would say Crittenden. Yeah.
All right, Crittenden.
Or as they say in Kentucky, Crittenden.
I thought they said Crittenden.
Or they say it somehow, but they don't say all the letters like that. They say
Crittenden.
Yeah, I know.
Crittenden.
Yeah.
So if we offended all of our Kentucky listeners, we apologize.
We do. But Jerry's on that now. So.
But you also say Versailles as Versailles.
And Louisville.
And Louisville.
Yeah.
Louisville. And Lexington.
Louisville.
Can y'all see the look on Jerry's face of just total disdain for me and Patrick when we do stuff like that?
He so much disdain. And it's not even about him because he's got Appalachia.
Right.
This is not Appalachia.
No, it's
this
not
is
Appalachia.
bluegrass.
We haven't even gotten to Appalachia yet.
Oh, but when we do.
That's like podcast number 32, I think, is when we have Appalachia come into play.
That's episode 32, part B.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're only doing it on one way station, which tells me that they're probably just beta testing it, seeing how it works, all that good stuff. It's probably super expensive, if I had to guess. But how do you feel about that?
You know, there's 2 different schools of thought, and I kind of sit in both of them. There's the safety school of thought, right?
Yeah.
Where if you're out there with flat tires or tires where the tread depth just isn't what it's supposed to be, your stopping distance is bad. It's unsafe, period, right? There's the other school of thought that says, well, this just kicks up the revenue like crazy. If they're not having to go out and actually physically inspect these tires, they're pulling into the weigh station and do a level 1 inspection. They can do it. They have this. You roll through a weigh station, your weight's good, and they decide they don't inspect you. You get the green light and you keep on trucking. With this, you roll through, your weight's good, but your tread depth is low, or you have a bald spot in your tire. You're getting put in for an inspection. So you just mentioned that this is expensive. Well, guess what pays for it? Those inspections where they catch somebody with bald tires. Safety-wise, you know what? Okay, if you're doing a proper pre-trip and taking care of your equipment, this isn't a problem for you. This is not going to pull revenue out of your pocket because you are doing a pre-trip and you know your tread depths are good. You know you don't have flat tires. You know your tire pressures are good. You're going to be okay. Will there be the time where you do your pre-trip and everything checks out good and you roll 5 miles down the road and you end up with a flat and you don't catch it? Sure. However, if you're doing a proper pre-trip, chances are this is not going to affect you.
No, so I am in partial agreement with you. I lean more towards the safety side, and maybe that's just the side of the business that I sit on.
Sure.
I think it was BF Good or Bridgestone. Now that I say it, they had a news thing out saying, or not news. Was that when they show it on TV and they want you to buy something?
An advertisement?
That's the one.
Okay.
And they said, of all the safety features on your car, and they went through and they talked about the adaptive cruise, the collision
Sure.
avoidance. They talked about lane departure, side warning detection, night vision. I think it was on a Cadillac, so it had the night vision thing. Like all that stuff. And they said of all the safety features on your car, the only thing that actually touches the road are your tires.
Your tires. Sure.
And that's it.
I agree.
Nothing else matters
Yeah.
except for your tires. Like no, everything else does. But at the end of the day, that's the only thing that's actually keeping you on the road is that round piece of rubber and air. We spend a lot of money making sure that our trucks have good tires, good rubber on them all the time. If a team calls and says they have a tire concern, we get videos, pictures. Sometimes it's nothing.
Right.
Sometimes it's, okay, well, let's get you to a tire shop to have it examined. Sometimes let's get you to a tire shop and you should get your brand new tire.
Taken care of. Sure.
Because that is such a critically safe component. So many accidents occur across the nation because of a blown tire. So many accidents happen on duals and trailer tires from a gator being thrown out of a truck and hitting another car.
Yeah.
And so it's like, this is something that for the most part, not always, but for the most part, we can inspect.
Sure.
We can do our pre-trips and see if everything's good. If everything's good, then when we stop and do our 30-minute break, at max an 8-hour time later, which, let's be honest, we're all stopping most likely before 8 hours.
Sure.
We all got to get a drink of water. We all got to use the restroom. We all got to get a little more fuel. Something's up. We're probably stopping before 8 hours. Do a walk around, look at our tires again, double check everything. It severely minimizes the likelihood of having a tire issue. When you talk to a DOT officer, like I have on the owner of the truck side of things, and they have a team of yours, and they're talking about how the tire has 1/32 of tread left on it. It's not flat.
No.
But 1/32 of tread left. There's no excuse for that.
None at all.
None. These things, I think, help create safety. And also, if you're running so you think well, 1/32, it didn't pop, so what are you worried about? Rain, snow, anything like that.
It's going to decrease your stopping power and your grip.
You need that tread depth to keep you from hydroplaning. Like, these are big trucks. They have lots of meaty tires. They don't really hydroplane. You can run through some pretty deep water, and you're not going to hydroplane like you will in your Civic. But when you start running those things to slicks, they do.
Sure.
Or they'll free spin. And then once you got a tire or axle free spinning, that whole thing goes sideways. And then you've got a jackknife situation. So it's like it's something that can easily be avoided, and it's not. And if this is another way to catch that, if this is another way that, now I've got to pay $1,000 to replace one tire because one of my teams isn't doing their pre-trip, that's a potential life I just saved.
Sure. I agree with that. So I don't have an issue with safety. I'd much rather DOT inspectors do their job, are out there doing a job and keeping us safe. The whole idea that it's revenue in their pocket, it is, but it's keeping us safe on the road. The revenue pays for equipment like this to keep us safe. What I think doesn't happen is people read an article like this, understand that this technology exists. I've read about this a couple of years ago somewhere else. I couldn't tell you where it was. So it's not. This isn't the first time it's being done. I don't think that it convinces or changes the mind of those people that are running at the bare minimum or below. I don't think it changes their mind. I think, yes, it can get them off the road because their truck is now being pulled over more frequently, or it's being put out of service because it has insufficient tire depth. But I think it takes fleet owners like you and says, okay, yes, we need to be careful with this, more diligent than we are. But I don't think it takes those, I want to use a word that's not appropriate here, drivers off the road, or those fleets off the road,
Renegade.
or those owners.
I call them renegade.
Those renegade drivers off the road. I don't think it does.
Well, and I don't think in this limited quantity it does.
Sure.
I think if you get to a point where every weigh station in America has it, that you start resolving that problem, right? People used to run overweight all the time.
Okay.
and then we have weigh stations all across America. They didn't necessarily stop. I think a large majority of them stopped running overweight, but the people that do, they run back roads or something to get around it. But you still you took a chunk of people off. You took a chunk of people that are hauling produce or what have you off, or oil or whatever else is really heavy, off the roads, and made them safer because of that.
Sure.
So going this distance, same with the brake finding technology, I think it could be the same. The revenue side of things, I'm not such a big fan of. You pull a truck over, it's got a flat tire. If it's got a lot of meaty tread on it and you find a nail in it or something in there,
Certainly.
I think there should be some discretion on the part of the officer to go, this might have happened en route, so we're not going to ticket you. You have to get it fixed. You can't leave here.
No, you can't leave until it's fixed, sure.
But we're not going to fine you.
Right.
I think if you're given the opportunity to make it right, they shouldn't fine you for it. So we're going to take the revenue stream off the table. So now we're really just doing it out of safety. Now, if it's a bald tire, totally different. Different story. Fine them. You find me, find whoever. Like the point that it is that we are encouraging our trucks to run unsafe. Sure, that needs to be handled. In America, we handle that with our pocketbooks. And a lot of times too, that happens on trailers. And I know a lot of people that run drop and hook. You go pick up a trailer. You got one tire, it's flat, and it's like, I don't want to deal with this. I want to get on down the road and roll.
It's happened to me.
Yeah,
it's happened to me. If I can tell a quick story.
Sure.
So I used to haul glass out of glass plant in Fresno, California. Melissa rode with me one weekend. We got down there on Saturday. We went and found a couple local restaurants to go hang out at Saturday night. Sunday morning, I was picking up a preloaded trailer. I hooked up to the trailer and did my pre-trip, and guess what? I've got a flat tire.
Yeah.
So Sunday morning, I've got a call now for a tire service, and it took probably 5 hours total to get that taken care of. To the point where I couldn't make it back home on my clock on Sunday like I normally would. Had to shut down. We're going to Medford, Oregon. I had to shut down in Weed. So we're 2 hours from home, but that's what I had left. I didn't have the time on my clock to get there. So 2 hours from home, I shut down, and she had to be at work the next morning. So I got my 10 hours in, and my 10 hours is up. I was rolling to get her back to work the next day.
Yeah.
And it actually screwed up my whole trip, but it was one of those things where, it wasn't my fault the tire was flat, but it was my responsibility now, because now my load's on that trailer. It's my responsibility. And there's so many guys that aren't doing that. They just want to get on the road and keep moving.
Yeah.
But they don't take care of those things. And it's frustrating. Like I said, it's frustrating that someone dropped that trailer and didn't take care of it.
I agree. I mean, post trips on trailers are vital, because especially in something like that.
Sure.
You unhook, you pull out, you walk back there, you look real quick. All right, check the tire pressure. At that point, like, I'm anti-thumper.
Right.
But for a post check on a trailer you're dropping, thump it at a bare minimum. Thump it.
Bare minimum. Yep.
You found a flat tire.
Yep.
Go back to your truck, do your proof of delivery, call your dispatch en route to, as long as it's one touch,
right,
en route to your truck stop, and say, hey, by the way, that truck trailer just drove off. It needs a new tire on this axle. And they can send someone out to fix it.
Without you sitting around waiting for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Most large, pretty much every large company, not all, but, well, I would argue probably every large company with over, say, 100 trailers has a roadside service contract that will send someone out there to replace that tire with no one being there.
Sure they do.
So it's so much easier to catch that in the front end. It's just being lazy. It's dropped it, pulled my lines, rolling on. Yeah,
not even looking at it, just going.
Yeah.
Agree.
I did see a feel-good story that I thought was kind of cool. As you all know, I'm such a pet lover, and I love dogs.
When you sent this to me, it made me think of Annie. Annie rode on the truck with Melissa and I.
Yes.
And, we were fortunate to never have any issues like this, but this story really touched me when you sent this to me. I thought it was interesting.
Well, when I sent it to you, after you sent it to me, I really didn't remind me at all of Annie, because this is a giant golden retriever, and Annie is a little bitty tiny sheepdog. And that's not a joke. She's a
tiny
toy
sheepdog.
She's a toy sheepdog.
Australian Shepherd, yes.
She's this big,
All of 9 pounds.
all of 9 pounds, but she thinks she's 100.
Oh, she does.
She doesn't know any better. There was a truck driver out in Topeka, Kansas. He let his dog out to go, do what
Handle
dogs
business,
do.
right?
Yeah, and the dog always came back as planned the whole time he's had him out on the road, and the dog took off, didn't come back. So he actually stayed in Topeka as long as he could and searched for the dog, looked everywhere, couldn't find it anywhere, and eventually had to leave the next morning to get to Oklahoma. So he called off his
search.
and actually it went out and had to go knowing that he'd lost the dog.
So at that point, the dog ended up in the Helping Hands shelter.
Yes.
And they were able to scan the microchip in the dog, find the owner's information, reach out to him, let him know they'd found the dog, and one of their volunteers drove the 4 hours to Oklahoma to return the dog to him.
Dodge City, Kansas. They drove 4 hours to Dodge City, Kansas.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I heard the Oklahoma and didn't realize he'd made it back to Dodge City, Kansas.
Yeah, he had to move on. So, but he was able to get them to bring it out there. And again, the cool thing about that is, as a truck driver, especially if you don't own the truck,
sure,
it's not your option to drive 4 hours away.
You don't have that option.
And so, he could have been on a 34-hour break. He could have asked, "Hey, I want to do this," and they're like, "No, we're not paying."
Yeah.
Because you think about fuel right now on a tractor is probably running. The fuel alone is probably costing that tractor 40 cents a mile to run, maybe a little more.
Yeah.
And a 4-hour trip, 250 miles, that's 500 miles round trip.
Yep.
That's $200-something. I don't think we would do it, but I could see a trucking company saying,
"Sure,
no, unless you want to pay us that $200, you just have to get a new dog."
I thought the important takeaway from this is if you've got pets on the truck with you, a microchip is an inexpensive way to keep track if something happens to your dog. I remember being at a truck stop one day. I'm out walking Annie. A driver parks across from us, and he gets out. He's on the phone, and he's got a pit bull in the truck.
As you do.
And this pit bull, the window on the passenger side is halfway down. Mm-hmm. This pit bull jumps out the window because this got to take care of business. Goes to the back of the truck and takes care of business. And at this point, the driver is walking up the driver's side of the truck and doesn't see this whole interaction, And I grab Annie because she thinks she's the biggest dog in the world. And if she saw this pit bull, she'd go after it.
Yeah.
That's literal. It's not me being funny. That's literal. That's what she's done that before.
I've seen it.
So I pick her up and I'm telling this guy who's on the phone, your dog just jumped out the window. And he's like, what? Your dog just jumped out the window. He goes, huh? So I get closer, and he takes his headset off finally, and I said, your dog just jumped out the window. It's back behind you on the grass. And the dog, luckily, fortunately, stayed there, but it could have taken off. Somebody could have grabbed it. Who knows? But that microchip is super important. Keeping that information up to date as well is very important if you have a dog on the truck, a pet on the truck with you, to make sure that you can recover your pet if something happens.
Well, that actually was going to be a question of mine. So I don't have a dog, and I know people are weird about microchipping animals or whatever.
Sure,
and so I was going to ask what your take on it was, although I think I just found out. Is there any negative side effects to microchipping your dog?
That I'm aware of, no. But I haven't studied it, so maybe there are.
Yeah.
That I'm aware of, there are not. The one thing that you have to do, though, is you have to make sure you keep your data, your information up to date.
Yeah.
Change your phone. Change your phone, change your address, make sure you get that information. My experience in the past was a website you go to, you log in, and you change your information.
Yeah.
I think there was a charge for the chip initially. It was minimal. The charge, there was no fee to change your information on the website. Now, that could have changed. I don't know. Yeah. But at the time I did it, there was not.
Well, they pretty much encourage you to chip your dog at this point, right?
They do.
They try to keep it as low as possible.
They do.
To stick. It just goes right up under the skin, right, and just kind of sits there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And they have a wand that they wave over the nape of the neck is where they put it, and it alerts and shows the information. Pretty simple.
That's so cool.
Pretty simple.
That's so cool, man. Today is brought to you by science. Where we go next? Who
knows? Who knows? I'm looking now to see if there's any negatives. Health risks for animals. Yes, there are risks. There have been many cases of tumors and several studies documenting them. So potential for tumors from the microchips.
But that's not necessarily cancer related, right? That's literally just like a fatty tumor or something like that.
I believe so. Yeah.
I mean, even I've got that. I've got my it's not a tumor. Well, in my case, it is a tumor, but it's benign.
And I think the key word is chance.
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 Yeah.
It's like with anything, just like humans.
Yep.
There's always a chance. There's always surgery. There's a chance of death. There's
Yes.
a chance of everything.
Yes. Yeah.
I think the benefits outweigh the risk.
Well, I remember when I got my yellow fever shot when we went to Brazil. Did you get your yellow
Yeah.
fever? Yeah. They go through and have a long conversation with you, and you have to sign a form saying that you understand the risk, because 1 out of every 500,000 people contract yellow fever, and of those people, 1 out of every 100 die of yellow fever.
Wow.
So the chance of dying is 1 out of every 10 million or 100 million. I don't remember what the numbers were. I think it was 1 out of every 100 million people. Or no, 10 million. I think 1 every 10 million people that get a yellow fever shot die. So you're sitting there going well, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Do I want to take this or not? And I took it, and I was fine.
I think
And he took it, and he was fine. I mean, it's just
the other side of the question is, do I want to get yellow fever?
correct. Yeah, lots of people that get yellow fever die.
Yeah.
And we were going to an area
That was riddled with it.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's
And in my opinion, completely worth it. What I saw was amazing. The chance was so slim. I mean, when you're talking 1 in 10 million, you're talking lottery odds.
yes. Yes, you are.
That's the kind of craziness you're talking. The amount of beauty I saw, I would, in a heartbeat,
Do it again.
do it again with
Yeah.
it twice. Now, the good thing is, yellow fever lasts for 10 years. At 10 years, you go from 90-something% efficacy down to like 10%. You lose 10%, so you're in the
Okay.
mid-80s.
Okay.
So there's a lot of people that debate between at 10 or 20 years, when should you re-up?
Sure.
But the thing is, if you've already had the inoculation once, when you go get your second inoculation, I think you're better off. I think the odds are even lower because of that.
Interesting.
So
So I'm curious.
go ahead.
The airplane that's on our table here today,
Yes.
did you get your yellow fever inoculation and then fly this airplane?
I did. I was the captain.
I figured you were.
Yeah.
I mean, it's either you stayed at Holiday Inn Express last night or you got a yellow fever inoculation,
And then
which made you captain airplane.
That's right. No, this is a Continental Boeing 737-700. Now, do you remember Continental?
I do.
I loved
I
Continental.
do. They flew all across the continent.
They were my favorite. One might even say continentally.
Yes, one might say. It's funny, people don't realize this, but Continental is the company that pioneered the continental breakfast because they used to serve it on their planes in the morning. Just a little fun fact there.
I'm going to need someone to verify
Brought to you
that.
by Chili.
I need someone to verify that. I
Yeah.
mean, it sounds good. I'll co-sign it, but I don't necessarily believe it. But
You don't have to believe it. It's true. You don't have to believe it.
well, it was my preferred Eric and my preferred airline back 12, 13 years ago when we were flying. The things I liked about Continental, I think the biggest thing I liked about Continental was their seats.
Okay.
Every seat had a television in it.
Okay.
Now, you could watch, this is how old-fashioned it is, the airplane seats had credit card swipes in them.
Yeah.
So you could watch a little bit of movies and a little bit of television free.
Right.
But if you wanted to watch DirecTV, I think they had DirecTV on the plane, you had a credit card swipe. And it was like $5 or $10 an hour.
Wow.
If you wanted internet, you had a credit card swipe right there. Of course, now everything's on an app.
Right. Exactly.
But that was how they operated. And but my absolute favorite thing is, unlike now, if you fly today, pretty much every airline is a vinyl or leather wrap seat.
Yeah.
Continental had cloth covered seats, but it was more like what you'd find in a Buick, that velour kind of cloth. And they had the
Interesting.
little covers that went over the headrest
Yeah.
or whatever. And I think it was so much more comfortable. You didn't just find yourself sweating hot on a
Sure.
leather seat like
Yeah,
you do on
stuck
a
to it.
modern airplane.
Yeah.
And their attendants were just like, I don't know, kind of prim and proper. And it was just a comfortable airline. I really liked them. We flew them a lot. That being said, this particular airplane, Eric and I flew to San Diego in 2010 for the 2010-2011 New Year's.
Okay.
So we're December 2010.
Yeah.
We're going to San Diego because we went somewhere tropical.
Sure.
We didn't realize San Diego's not tropical, but lessons learned. So flew out of New Orleans. Flew off mic. Eric just said there were palm trees.
There were palm trees.
So we flew. So we actually stayed at my aunt's house out near New Orleans, and then she took us to the airport the next morning, New Orleans airport, and we flew to Houston, and from Houston on to San Diego. Everything was great. Super excited. Gonna go fly on a trip. It's gonna be great. Right?
Yeah.
Get to New Orleans. We check in for a flight. Everything's good. We had not had breakfast or anything that morning, and we may have partook of some alcohol the night before. I don't remember, but we were dehydrated.
Did they not serve you a continental breakfast on the airplane?
We're not on the plane yet. We're in the airport in New
I
Orleans.
see.
So I go to the bookstore. I think it was like a CNBC bookstore / shop where they sell water. I get a red Gatorade. Eric got a bottle of water or something. And we go sit down. I drink my red Gatorade. And I'm like, I just can't get it together. You know what I mean? Like, you ever had that feeling inside your stomach or but it starts to get into your muscles even. You're like, what's happening? And a few minutes later, it hit me. And I was like, no. And I ran. I mean, literally, like, Eric must not know what was happening. I jumped up and ran to the restroom. Blew it up every way I could.
Good for you. Get it out of your system.
That's what I thought.
Get the poison out.
That's what I thought. Get the poison out. Start feeling better a little bit later.
Yep.
You know, we're just gonna let nature take its course.
Sure. We're
gonna feel better. And I can still, man, it's so funny how there's things in your life you can still remember so vividly. I remember my can I say vomit? Is that allowed? Is that allowed?
Yeah, it's not 4 letters.
Okay, my vomit was red from the Gatorade. It looked like I was just vomiting up blood. Anyway, I'm sorry. I apologize. But so, okay, did that. Felt great. Loved it. Oh, I'm happy. I'm good again. Go wash my hands, clean up a little bit, go back, get on the airplane. At this point, Eric is literally like holding the door open on the airplane like you would hold the door open at a Walmart for someone to come in.
Sure.
He's holding the door open. They're like, we have to leave. He's like, one more second. So I run down the jet bridge, jump on the airplane, go to my seat, sit down, fly to Houston. Everything's great. Get to Houston. No problems. No big deal. We're awesome. Start to feel a little bad. And now boarding rows 1 through 3. I'm like, okay. Still feeling like not bad, but I don't feel great.
Right.
Get on the airplane, take off, and as soon as we got 10,000 feet, I jump up, ran to the bathroom, and at this point, I'm just regurgitating everything I possibly can. I just cannot stop it. And I'm in there for a while, so much so that I open the door to leave, and there is a line. There is a line down the middle of the airplane of people waiting on me to get out. I get back over. I'm in a window seat. I get back over the window, and I remember just leaning my head against the window, just wanting to die. Just wanting to die. And flew. And then you're on a 3.5-hour flight. It's not even like a quick one.
No.
So
it's a long one.
Flew all the way down to San Diego. Get to San Diego, and this is when I realized how powerful your sense of like visual stimulation is. Have you ever landed in San Diego?
No, never.
Have you?
Yes.
Okay, so when you go to land in San Diego, you come in right over the mountains, and you're pretty low. I mean, you're high, but you're over the mountains, right. So you're not far off the terrain. And you come in, you go right over downtown, and San Diego is like the busiest single runway airport in America. They only have one runway.
They're pretty tight in there downtown.
There's not a whole lot of room.
No.
And so you literally fly right over downtown, and then boom, you're on the runway, and on both sides of you is palm trees. You get out of the airplane, you're in this huge, bright, open, like amazing place. And I felt great. I'm like, holy cow, this is so cool. And I did great until I got to the hotel. I got to the hotel, and it was lights out for me. So I suffered my entire, the whole time. I think we were there for like 7 days or 8 days. I was just miserable the whole time. Couldn't keep anything down.
Wow.
It was terrible. It was just a stomach bug. It
Yeah.
was my first time having a real stomach bug.
Wow.
Like I remember as a kid, you'd get upset stomach or whatever.
Yeah,
The next day you're fine.
Throw up, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was my first time having like a real deal legit stomach bug. It was not Continental's fault, but it occurred
happened
on that
on a
Continental
Continental flight.
flight, and
Yeah.
man, it's burned into my memory. So when I say I have these airplanes, and they all are airplanes that I have memories attached, I'm not lying. You've seen it now. What are we
Sure.
on? 7
Yeah.
or 8 airplanes at this point. These airplanes, they definitely have memories attached to them that are pretty, in some cases, pretty strong in
Yeah,
a good way,
very
and pretty strong in the
Yeah.
not so good way. But
I had somebody yesterday reach out to me and ask me, what are you going to do when you're out of airplanes?
fly more.
That's what I told him. I said he's going to have to fly more. He's going to have to make sure he flies more. And when he books
Yeah.
a flight, it's on a plane he hasn't flown before.
I got a flight. So in a couple weeks for my birthday, we're flying down to Ecuador. I think I mentioned it in last week's podcast.
I think you did.
On the way back, will be an airplane I've ever flown before. So I'm looking forward to acquiring that one as well.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
yeah, there's you just gotta fly more.
That's all you got to do.
That's all you gotta do.
Yeah.
And flying is so economical right now.
It really is. It's very economical. So while you were talking about your issues on the Continental airplane,
My
I
issues.
actually Googled
The issues on a Continental.
no Continental breakfast orientation. The origin. Thank you.
You're
I had
welcome.
part of the word right. The origins Continental breakfast, and it actually was by Continental Airlines. They started doing it after major holidays, where people get on the plane first thing in the morning.
Oh yeah.
They'd spend a lot of time partaking the night before, the day before, days before, and they wanted to put some food in their stomach so they wouldn't go through their whole supply of air sickness bags. Okay, that part's not true, but
Yeah.
they wanted to get some carbs in people's stomachs, so they started the Continental breakfast, and hence
nice.
the name Continental breakfast.
So nice bagel, slice
Right.
of toast, a little
A
jelly, a little
croissant.
syrup,
Yeah,
croissant.
exactly. So,
little marzipan spread.
what's your preference, sir? Jelly or syrup?
Strawberry preserves.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
absolutely. On a
Yeah.
croissant, strawberry preserves on a croissant with a little slice of ham, a little
Yeah,
warm,
oh, yeah.
warm with some
Oh, yeah.
American cheese, not cheddar.
No,
American on a
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah. Yep. So
Especially if that croissant's got some buttery topping on it.
oh yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't believe it's not butter.
Can you send the waiter over? Anyways, catering. That's hysterical.
That's thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
Well, I think that just about does it for today. We have a couple events coming up that we just want to run by you real quick.
Yes.
The first, of course, being Expedite Expo happening in July, the 21st and 22nd at the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum.
Good job.
Thank you. Been hearing you say it all this time, and I'm like, he's going to ask me one day, and I'm not going to know it.
Yep. Gotta keep practice.
Yeah, it's happening in Fort Wayne, Indiana. It's going to be an awesome time. Hyfield Trucking is going to be there with a pretty good-sized booth. Come out and see us. It's going to be a good time. I've said it like 5 times.
You have.
What I'm saying is that it's going to be a good time.
It is.
It's going to be a good time for socializing, meeting potential carriers, potential fleet owners, vendors. If you're interested in buying a truck, they're all going to be out there. If you want to buy tire chains, I think I saw the OnSpot guys finally signed up. They're going to be there.
Okay.
It's just a great show dedicated to our industry. We are sponsoring Casino Night.
Yes. Yes, we are.
So on Friday night, come hang out with us. We're going to throw down at the Casino Night. It's going to be a wonderful time where they're going to bring a bunch of casino games out and all the dealers.
Lots of door prizes.
Lots of door prizes, tons of door prizes. We got a special music situation set up.
Ooh, I would like it.
Well, basically, you're going to find me at the craps table. I'm not
Yeah.
going to lie. I just,
Yeah.
I don't know what else to do. Craps table's so much fun.
So much
and I
fun.
get to hone in my not skills.
Right.
And
Yeah. So much.
you
fun.
just get crazy. So they give you $1,000 of Monopoly money when you
Right.
walk in. And so you're able to play and do all this fun stuff. And it doesn't matter. You can be reckless.
Doesn't
you can
matter.
bet it all in black if you want.
all.
You
Well,
can
not
tip,
in
the,
the craps table, but
tip the dealer 500 fake
Yeah,
dollars. Don't
exactly.
do that. That's insulting.
kinda rude.
That's very rude.
Yeah.
But it is a lot of fun. There's a little after party afterwards too. We're just gonna hang out and chill, listen to music, maybe dance a little, get a little funky called Medina going on. I don't know. On Friday morning and Saturday morning, there's gonna be breakout sessions. So if you are interested in a whole host of topics, if you're interested in what's it like to be a millennial in trucking, what's it
Right.
like to drive a straight truck, what's it like to how do you buy a truck?
sure.
What do you expect as far as maintenance goes? any of those
Insurance.
insurance
What kind of
topics.
insurance do you need for your truck?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's going to be breakout sessions where they're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. And it is a great opportunity to go learn. So we want you to come to the show because it's a lot of good fun and we'd like to meet you. But take the time to learn and educate yourself and become a better expediter. Or if you're not in the industry already, learn the industry, get to know it.
Sure.
There's nothing
Sure.
better than learning the process before you get into it. That was
Starting
one
out
thing.
educated.
That's absolutely right. That's one of the things Eric and I did before we got in the business is for the probably 4 months leading up to it, 5 months leading up to it, we studied everything we could find on the industry. And once we got here, there's still a huge learning curve,
sure.
but at least we had a foundation of knowledge. And this is a great opportunity to come out. We never went to one of these, and man, I wish we had. It would have been so much further along than what we were when we first came out. And so it's a great time. I highly encourage y'all to come out. We're going to do a parking lot party even, weather permitting.
Weather permitting, sure.
Summertime in Fort Wayne, Indiana is like iffy.
Well, I've been twice now. The first time, it rained the first 2 nights.
The whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second time, it was beautiful.
Beautiful.
So,
Yep.
this time, it might snow. Who knows?
Who knows? It almost did for Matt's.
Yeah.
We, and if it rains, we have tents.
We'll figure it out.
We'll still throw down.
Yeah, we'll still
But if it's
party.
lightning and thundering,
Yeah, we're going home.
yeah,
Go to
we'll
bed.
see you later.
Yeah. Good night.
But it's a lot of fun. Come out and see us. That's in July. Oh, truck parking. If you are in a truck, it's $16. If you're in a car, I think it's half that. I think it's $8. But the show itself is free. Go to expediteexpo.com and register today. That way you have your badge. You know you're going to be good to go.
Are we talking about Hyfield at Sea?
That's the one. So we have Hyfield at Sea coming up. That's going to be December 30th through January 7th. And I know we're talking about it now, and you're like, that's so long away from now. Get your cabin now if you want to go with us.
Book
They
it
will
now.
sell out. Royal Caribbean is really good about if you find a lower price later, you can actually contact them. They'll refund you the difference.
Yes, they will.
They are a really great company to cruise with. We're Hyfield at Sea, Wonder of the Seas. It's the world's largest cruise ship with Royal Caribbean International. They're arguably my favorite cruise line to cruise with. I really like them. Their service, their food, everything. It's a lot of fun. This is not an educational experience. This is
it's
go
not.
hang out, have fun, relax. We're doing it over New Year's because what's funner than being on New Year's on a cruise ship
on New Year's
in the middle of the sea? But also, it's also kind of a really dead time in our industry. There's not a whole lot going on.
Not a lot of
so if there's not going to be a lot of freight, let's go have a lot of fun.
Have fun. Yeah.
So that's kind of our thinking. It's our rationale. We'll be there. All of the Hyfield at Sea rooms in our block are sold out, but you can still go to Royal Caribbean's website and book. Check those prices daily. They do fluctuate a little bit. So if you want to just buy a cheaper price rather than have to get it discounted or refunded, rather, keep an eye on it. It fluctuates per week, but I've seen everything from like $3,200 all the way up to like $7,000. So keep an eye on it because it does fluctuate pretty wildly. And when you see it that cheap price, book it.
Book it.
So it is a lot of fun. We hope to see you out there. Jerry.
Yes.
That's a lie. Jer Bear.
Yes.
What are we forgetting?
Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on Instagram.
Yes. Where can they find us?
You can find us at the Outer Belt Podcast on Facebook, the _ Outer Belt Podcast on Instagram, HyfieldTrucking.com if you would like to find out more information about Hyfield and all that we do and offer over here. You can email us at theouterbeltpodcast@gmail.com.
Lots of different ways.
Lots of different ways.
You can
Lots
call
of contacts.
us at 86753. That's a
Yeah,
lie.
no.
Sorry, that was a joke.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
It's one thing we don't talk a lot about what we actually do. So we have trucks on with FedEx and with Panther. FedEx Custom Critical, Panther Premium Logistics. We do custom sleeper trucks, straight trucks. You need a Class B license. You don't have to have experience. We will get you good to go. It is a wonderful opportunity. If you are interested in doing that now and you don't want to wait till July, go ahead and contact us. Reach out to us. We have a few people working in-house. Buttermilk's one of them, and we have Delina as well, and sometimes Kayla even kicks in and helps. They'd love to talk to you about what we do, how fun it is, how you can make money traveling the country in a basically a mini RV hauling freight and getting your weekends off, being able to go hang out and, one day you're at Arches National Park and the next day you're in Vegas.
Yeah.
So
it happens.
It's a really cool lifestyle we have. And you can also go to like Expedite Chicks. You can go to Luxshire Expediting Adventures. You can go to Expedite Boogie. You can go to Truck and Travel. You can go to The Real Trucker Couple, to all those on YouTube. Watch videos. They really break down and explain the lifestyle and what we do. It's a great industry to be in. If you're interested, please drop us a line. Check those places out. Get some videos of what people are doing. It's a great industry. We're passionate about it. We love it.
We really are.
We are thankful that you listen to us and invite us into your lives for an hour a week. And that's it. In the meantime, stay safe, make good decisions.
And don't leave money on the table. And as Jerry would say, keep those wheels turning.
I am so sorry.
All of a sudden you're like,
Yeah.
I got a little
totally cut
I
me out of that.
got a little premature.
Premature.
He's cutting me out of the podcast going up Saturday, and he's cutting me out of this one.
We got to have a talk. As you can see clearly, we have to have a conversation.
Say what you're gonna say.
And keep those wheels turning.
That's right.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. On the record, I am so sorry.